Hello, 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 and welcome to another guest episode. We've been inundated with guest episodes this last wee month, but I'm super, super excited, and I've actually got my phone in my hand because I'm going to read you who we have coming in next. I'm really, really excited for this conversation. I'm excited for all conversations, to be fair, but this girl, I randomly met her on a networking call. Um, and it was like a networking call where you say what it is you do. And she instantly just got me, like totally, totally got me. I'm so, so excited to have her. But so I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read you what basically who I am on her Instagram because it's so powerful the work that she's doing. Um, I can resonate with it a lot because I know a lot of people who have been in certain circumstances. So she's the founder of Cloco Health, and her name is Chloe. She's a fabulous girl. She's a cancer specialist, an environmental medicine practitioner, and health coach, and someone who is obsessed with the future of women's health. Amen, sister. And in her story, and obviously I'm going to go through her story when she comes on, but she says it didn't start like this. There was times where she thought cancer was part of her story, and she's grew up with multiple people in her family being diagnosed, and she said five family members with cancer. Watching it happen more than once just changes how you see everything. She thought it was just genetics and luck. She thought she was nothing you could do about it, and she believed that she could stay like that would just stay with her. Um, and I'm not going to go too much into this because obviously I want Chloe to tell her own story, but she chose a different route. She looked at her diet. This is her nan get diagnosed, and her nan started to look at a different route, looked at her diet, her lifestyle, environment, and what her body was being exposed to. And that just sparked something within Chloe, which is so amazing. And she's such a young girl as well. So she is now, and again, I'll let Chloe tell you the story, but she now like went into loads of studying about nutrition, about hormones, about toxins, and I am like so far for this chat. Um, and she now lives like talks about how the way we live now is so far away from what our bodies actually should be, that we are actually paying the price for it. So she talks through nutrition, through lifestyle, through functional testing and toxin reduction, and that everything that you do in the day-to-day life reduces your risk of cancer. What an incredibly powerful story. I cannot wait to bring Chloe on, and I'll be back with you in just a tick with Chloe. I'm so excited. I am now joined by the beautiful and amazing Chloe. So obviously I've already done the pre. This is who's coming on, and I've talked a little bit about what it is that you do. But obviously there's nothing more powerful than hearing the story from the person themselves. So let's go all the way back to like basically who is Chloe? Who is Chloe?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Chloe. I'm a health coach and an environmental medicine practitioner. I specialize in cancer prevention for women. So growing up, I had a huge family history of cancer. So that was the reason why it gave me the spark to now do this as a job and really focus on prevention because I think for a lot of us, we spend a lot of our younger years really building businesses and working so hard, like whether or not it's just for ourselves or for somebody else. And really need to prevent cancer because we
Yeah.
really want to. I think that end goal is to really get to the age where we can actually really enjoy what we've built when we're younger. And for me, I've seen a lot of my family members not get to that age. So for me, it was something that I was like, okay, we need to do something about this and really prevent it.
hmm Amazing. So if we go back to before you even done all this work, so way, way, way before, and obviously you said there's a few family members who had been diagnosed and who maybe didn't survive it. Let's go back to before all that. So like the kind of unsure time before you were even doing this kind of work, because this work is, like you said, prevention is better than cure, isn't it, really? So if you
Mhm.
can prevent it, and I am a total believer that you absolutely can. But there'll be loads of people that listen to this who won't be, who'll be like very cynical, the right word. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's like if you get given this diagnosis, that's it, cards are marked, that's you done, sort of a thing.
Mhm.
So let's go back to before you started all this work. Obviously, you experienced a lot of family members with diagnoses. What happened during all that time? And obviously, you can just go as much as you want to share.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, for me growing up, I think the first family member that I had with cancer was, I think I was probably around 7. So that was kind of the first time that I really experienced it. But I did, well, immediate family.
Yeah.
There was my like parents, grandparents, they had had it and things like that. But I think when you're so young, you don't really understand.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got to this age where I understood it a little bit more. So that was a first family member around 7 years old. And then that was my uncle. He had skin cancer. And then he got through that within a few years. It then came back. At the same time, my granddad was going through it as well, but it was a different type of cancer. And I just remember like thinking, like, why does this keep happening?
Mm.
Um, and then from then on, it was just as if everybody kind of in the family was had it, or everybody that was passing away around us, it was always because of cancer. And I always thought that we had no control over it. I just thought it was something that it runs in the family. I did have a lot of like very unhealthy lifestyle. That was like a pattern in the family. So I just thought, okay, it's probably just that.
Mhm.
But then actually when my other grandparents had it, they were like never drinkers, never smokers. I thought used to eat really well. It was a case of like, okay, so it probably isn't just the lifestyle and the diet. Maybe it is just a genetic thing. So yeah, growing up, I just thought that everybody was probably going to get it in the family. It used to keep me awake at night because I would literally be thinking about like me having it, my mum having it. I was thinking I've watched so many people go through it that I don't want that to happen to like, any of us.
Mhm.
Um, and my nan was actually diagnosed for the second time, and she'd been through chemo and everything before, and it nearly killed her. So for the second time, she said, "Right, I'm going to try something different." Because she just said, "I don't think I'm strong enough to go through that now." She
Mhm.
was 10 years older. She was like mid 70s. So she said, "Right, I'm going to try something different." So she decided to hire a practitioner that worked on her with a little bit of diet. She did have quite a healthy diet anyway, more lifestyle stuff, but also reduce the toxins in her environment. And within a few months, that cancer started to shrink. And that was the first time that I thought, wow, I really want to do that job.
Mhm.
But at school, I mean, I was never a grade A student. So I thought, if I want to do things like nutrition and environmental medicine, I would have had to be really brainy. But I was always kind of like a middle kind of like
Yeah.
C grade student. So at school, it was never something that I ever thought was going to be available to me.
Yeah.
Um, and so I started kind of researching it a little bit more. I got really obsessed with natural health, but didn't really do anything with it. And then it was when I actually was running 2 businesses before. So I was running a beauty business and a wall art business. I was working like back to back with clients all day, every day. I'd come home from work. I was literally just numb, just did I mean I hadn't really eaten all day just because I
Mm.
didn't used to factor in like a lunchtime.
Yeah.
I think this is like a lot of business owners do this. They
Yeah.
forget to eat, you forget to drink. I used to skip breakfast. I was so stressed. And then when I get home from work, I was like packaging orders, getting them ready to send. I also did a lot of like custom work, so I would be like creating people's orders as well. And I think 2 years of living like that, I completely lost my periods. I was so
Yeah.
stressed, but without even realizing it because I'd been doing it for such a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and when I went to my doctor, she was a woman. She asked me if I was trying for a baby at the moment, which I wasn't. And she said to me, "So why does it matter if you don't have your periods?"
No.
Yeah. And that was the time that I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try and learn about all of this and actually do that as a job so that no
Yeah.
woman ever has to go through the same thing. And I just remember sitting there thinking, I'm never coming doctors ever again.
Hmm.
I was shocked.
Hmm.
It really took me back. I think I was sat in that doctor's chair, just speechless.
Yeah.
And I came away, I did a lot of research, and I mean, it took a long time because hormones, they can take a long time, but I managed to change my diet, change my lifestyle, and my periods did start to come back. And yeah, that was the time when I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna pursue this as a job.
Yeah.
So yes, I went on this 5-year journey of studying nutrition, health coaching, environmental medicine, and that's where I am here today.
It's incredible, and like you say, it's so powerful. These people who you go for help, and also like it's as women, we aren't really the fastest to ask for help in the first
No.
place. Do you know what I mean? So like the fact that you've actually had the courage to go and ask for help, and it's almost like boom, just
Yeah,
shut right down. It's so awful, and it's just because people they don't have the knowledge, don't they? Like, they don't have the actual knowledge that they can actually share with people.
yeah,
I had something very similar. I have I'm diagnosed with endometriosis, but I refuse to actually even talk about it because I'm like, it's not going to be it's not going to be my
yeah,
life sort of thing. But I get given as soon when I went to the doctors, amitriptyline. That's what they prescribed me with, and I
yeah,
was like. And I didn't know what it was because I've never been on antidepressants or whatever. And I got them, got the pills and all that. Thankfully, I read the package because normally I wouldn't read things. Read the package, this was years ago. Read the package and I was like, I am not taking them. I have two
yeah.
children. There is no way I'm taking them and being totally like
Mhm.
gaga, not having a clue what's going on. And obviously, you know what these things are like. You get that, then you need this to because it's a side effect, and then you need something else
Yeah,
because it's another side effect. But had I been a little less, I'm very strong-willed. Had I been a little less strong-willed, I can see why people would take them just to get away, rid of the pain. But it's
yeah,
just masking, isn't it? You're just masking it, and it's not actually getting to the core root of the problem.
definitely. And it's crazy because when I first finished all my studying, my ultimate dream was to work within the NHS and to really like help people with their diet, their lifestyle, and also reducing their toxins.
Yeah.
Because toxins for cancer and for endometriosis is a massive part of it. And I went for 3 job interviews, and all of them said exactly the same thing. They said, you will not be able to use your environmental medicine because it's not something that we can disclose. And that was the time when I thought, okay, I'm going to have to
Mm.
just set up on my own because
Mhm.
I'm not prepared to go work for an institute that is not going to tell everybody the whole picture
Yeah,
because you're
100%.
not going to fix anything
Yeah.
without the whole
Yeah.
thing. It isn't just one thing creates these issues. It's like the accumulation of everything that we're exposed to nowadays. And yeah, you see that I see that so much in my clinic. It's just constant women going to the doctors and them being prescribed things that actually they don't need. They'd actually
Yeah.
just need to do the inner work first.
Yeah. 100%. I think it's so powerful that you are doing it. Like it's a system, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you
Mhm.
if you're in that system, you're bound by their rules,
Yeah,
and sometimes we need to be like breaking free and being like, Actually no, like this,
yeah.
I know more." So it's incredible that you're doing the work that you're doing. If we take us back to that time where you'd lost your period, and obviously that must have been really quite scary as a young girl having lost your period, and for a doctor to turn around to you and say it doesn't really matter, like,
Mm.
can you imagine where you would be now had you been like, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I
That's
know. And I mean, my doctor, she just wanted to put me back on the pill. And I had come off the pill a few years prior to that because the pill made me crazy.
mm,
Like, I didn't realize at the time because I'd been on it since I was like 16 years old. Um, and as soon as I come off that, I was like a different person. Even
mm,
like my partner was saying, oh, like, you're not as hot-headed now. Like,
yeah,
I thought that was just my personality, but it was all of those like those added hormones that I was
yeah,
being given. And she wanted to put me back on that, and I said, no, I'm not going on that. Everything she said, I said, no, I don't want that. And I mean, I guess it's hard because she probably wasn't aware of anything to do with women's health. So she was
yeah.
looking at me, probably thinking,
She's
you
a nightmare.
ungrateful sod, like I'm offering this to you and you're just saying no. But I just think I'm so glad that I'd already kind of done that work, and
Yeah,
I already had my eyes open, and I knew a lot of stuff through like my nan going through cancer and healing herself naturally.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, I just think thank goodness, because
100%.
I was a different person when I was on the
Mhm.
pill, and there's no way I'm ever going to go back on that.
Yeah. I think as well, while we're on the subject of the pill and like birth control and all that sort of stuff, again, I'm just going to ask your opinion because obviously it is your opinion. Um, I kind of feel so. I was on birth control. I was on like the pill since I was 15, as you do when you're young and don't get
Yeah,
told anything of what could potentially be the side effects. So I was on the pill from I was 15, and then once I had my daughter, who's my second child, she's now 14. Once I had her, it was right. Let's go on the coil because I fell pregnant twice on the pill, and
yeah,
then I had the coil in. So then I got the coil in. Wasn't the hormonal coil, it was the copper coil originally. And then I started to get all these symptoms and whatever. And then they changed me to the hormonal coil because they were like, that'll settle it. Similar to you, when I had all these kind of symptoms going on, I went to well, it's now Sandyford, so we don't go to the doctors to get the coils and stuff removed. We go to like the Sandyford clinic. Went to the Sandyford clinic and I was like, I need to get this thing out, mate. It can't be okay to have this inanimate object inside me to be like stopping my natural flow for like decades. Like there
yeah.
must be, and they were like, no, 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 that'll make the endometriosis worse. You need to keep it in, you need to keep it in, you need to keep it in. Anyway, so I did. I got kind of convinced to be like, right, okay, that's not the answer. Okay, so I went away, and then again, I was just like, there was just something inside me. I'm like, what have I got control of? I have control of that. I'm going to go, and it's coming out. I don't. Nobody's going to change my mind. So when got it taken out, and when they took it out, there was two there by accident,
Oh
right?
wow.
Yeah, I know. And I really should investigate it more because I had got the laparoscopy a couple of years before that,
Yeah,
and they had said they'd changed the coil, and actually they've obviously not changed it. They've just put another one in and not took the original one out.
oh, that's
So
terrible.
it's crazy. So I very much believe that all these symptoms and the diagnosis of endometriosis, and whatever, is a knock-on effect of basically stopping my own reproductive, like
Hmm.
natural biology for 2 decades, putting
Yeah.
inanimate objects inside me to stop that thing. And I totally believe that's a massive reason as to why I have that now diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. And especially with things like copper coils, because I test a lot of women with endometriosis. So I do functional testing. And
Hmm.
you see a lot of women that have endometriosis with really high levels of copper. And you think like if you've got those like the copper coils in and things like that, we're also drinking, a lot of us are drinking tap water, which we have copper pipes. Now, copper is amazing, but if you have too much of anything, that causes like an excess of estrogen and things like that. And that is one of the reasons where the endometriosis can come from.
Hmm.
And like you said, you had two in.
Yeah,
And
that was the other one, so not the copper one. That was the
right,
two marina coils, which is the
yeah,
hormone ones. So I'm getting two of and it's not even progesterone into it, it's progestin. So it's like a
yeah,
synthetic hormone, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
crazy.
you should investigate that more. You should
100%,
definitely.
100%. But are you of the belief like that if you are kind of stopping your natural, that there's some sort of cost to that?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, we're all meant to bleed for a reason, aren't we? And
Mm.
as a woman, when you have a period, it's like a shedding, and it
Yeah.
isn't just like the shedding of like the inside of us, but it's everything. It's like it's shedding of like all our emotions and things like that. And if you're not doing that, then you are just like holding everything in as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. I think that would be a massive reason to why you've
Yeah.
now got that diagnosis.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's so important to highlight that, like in the world, because I think certainly when I was younger, it's maybe different now, but I don't imagine it is different. It's like that's your answer. Here you go. Here's pill. That's the
Yeah,
answer. If you've got a heavy bleed or if you've got mood swings, whatever, there's your answer. There's your answer. And again, it's that whole plaster, isn't it? Like here, plaster over it, put a mask over it, rather than actually like what is actually going on with your body.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like similar to me and you, when you go on the pill or you go on like contraception at such a young age, you're at an age where like your hormones are probably a bit like all over the place anyway. And then you go
Mhm.
on this, you have this thing put into you, and you don't actually realize like who you actually are because you
Yeah.
have all of these like other hormones in you. So
Mhm.
like growing up, I mean, I was probably an absolute nightmare when actually like I feel like I'm pretty chill now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a massive thing.
Yeah.
It's hard because obviously at that time in your life, like it serves a purpose, doesn't it? Like you're
Yeah.
on it for a purpose. But I think, I mean, I would absolutely. I don't have children, but if I had a daughter, I would. Yeah, I would not be wanting them to be on anything like that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the exact same. Like I said, my daughter's 14 now, and there is no way I would like advocate for her being on that. Obviously, like you say, it serves a purpose for whatever the reason is,
Yeah,
but at the same time, like that it's the fact that you're not told the potential risks, isn't it? It's just here's
yeah,
a pill, there you go. That'll stop you from getting pregnant. That's you. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? And you don't know you're still going to go 20 years down the line or 10 years down the line or however many years down the line, and you're not told what the repercussions of that are going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially with things like HRT as well, because like for example, like my mum, she wouldn't have HRT anyway, but she can't because cancer runs in the family.
Of course.
And it's it's a thing like, okay, but is that the same as like the contraceptive pill and all of, like the coils and everything? Obviously, they're given to us at such a young age,
Hmm.
but it makes me think like we shouldn't probably be given them
Yeah. Yeah.
because
100%.
they can do very similar things. I mean, we're with things like that, the body has been built like the way it's been built for a reason, and
Hmm.
absolutely anything that you give the body that's like inhumane, like there is
Yeah.
going to be repercussions.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same with like toxins in, in our shower gels, like food,
Yeah.
like everything like that. There is going to be repercussions. But with the pill and like with the coils and everything like that, that's inside you every single day pretty much
Yeah.
for years.
Hmm. Yeah, and that just begs to think that doesn't it like how you just no have no idea what that's doing inside you because you can't see inside you. You
Yeah.
mentioned there about toxins, and this is a massive thing that I am an advocate for as well as the toxins. But I think the general population don't even know what we're talking about when you talk
Yeah.
about toxins. So do you want to just give us a wee kind of a explanation as to what you're talking about when you're talking about toxins?
Yeah, of course. So when I talk about toxins, there's thousands of toxins, and we are never going to be able to get away from them, but it's about where we can reduce our exposure where we can. So when I talk about toxins, I'm talking about like the ingredients within your products. So for example, like your shower gels, your shampoos, your makeup. There's even toxins in things like clothing. And
Mm.
they are like man-made, then not all of them are man-made, but majority of them are man-made, and they're basically they serve a purpose. So they can serve a purpose as to make shower gels kind of more, what's the word, like runny, for example, or to make shampoos lather up. So like when you wash your hair, they're all toxins. For example, in clothing, we have toxins in there to help the color actually stay in. So when you wash it, it doesn't run out. There's also toxins in clothing where it's all of if you're wearing kind of polyester, nylon, or acrylic, they are made of plastic. So they add kind of toxins in there to make it more kind of flexible so that we can actually wear it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's what I mean when I talk about toxins. But like you said, not a lot of people are aware of them.
Yeah.
And they're pretty much invisible. So
Mm.
I think especially in the UK now that we're not in the EU, like we're not really regulated for that stuff anymore. So if you go to your local supermarket and you pick up sun cream or sun cream shower gel, if you cannot really see, if you don't really know what those ingredients are on the bag, you shouldn't really be using it.
Mhm.
And you can look at a sun cream and there can be hundreds of
Yeah.
ingredients in there.
And so what should somebody use instead?
So there are really good brands. So you can use things like Tropic. They have like a really organic range. So I will use some of their like cleansers for the skin. They're quite nice. I will use if I use something on my skin every day, I
Mhm.
will be able to eat it. So for example, like on my face, I'll use either beef tallow or I'll
Right.
use olive oil or jojoba oil. They are
Mhm.
totally edible. For my skin, I will only use like coconut oil as moisturizer, and that's the same thing as I eat with as well.
Yeah.
So if you are using it on your skin every day, you should be able to eat it because
Mhm.
the skin absorbs. So everything that you're putting on your skin, it is absorbing into the blood. And
Mhm.
if you're putting something on your skin that has like 20 different ingredients that you can't read what they are, then
Mhm.
you have no idea what's going into your blood.
Yeah. And what is so let's say so for instance my daughter is 14 and she is very much into the skincare and all that sort of stuff and we have a bit of a battle with the what products are okay and she obviously is like very on that whole trend like following the trend sort of a thing so she
Yeah.
likes things like Drunk Elephant which is awful like it's got so much stuff in it all that sort of stuff she doesn't have Drunk Elephant but like that for me and her, there had to be a bit of a balance because I was like, "Here's tropics," and she's like,
Mhm.
"So, what is happening when somebody is putting on this stuff onto their, so let's say skin, for instance? What is happening if somebody's putting this toxin on their skin, and what is the repercussions of that, if that makes sense?"
Yeah, of course. So for a lot of the products in skincare, shower gels, fragrance is a massive one.
Yeah.
A lot of those toxins, they mimic estrogen. So when they're going into the skin, the body thinks that they're estrogen because they act in the same way. So for example, with your daughter, I have a sister who's 14 as well. And if they're spraying things, not even just on their skin, but if they're spraying them in their room and they're breathing that in, that is
Mhm.
so much extra what the body thinks is estrogen. And that's going to cause them to maybe like hit puberty earlier, come on their periods earlier. They will have
Right.
like hormonal disruption. But also a lot of the toxins as well, they can also sit in like receptor sites where hormones need to go. So they basically will block where the hormones can go because they'll basically clog them up.
Mhm.
So I have the same battle with my sister. She's 14 and if when she goes to school, she smells like she's just come out of like a perfume
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
And yeah, they are terrible because a lot of those ingredients in the skincare and the fragrance, they are carcinogenic, so they will
Mhm.
cause cancer.
hmm Especially if it's like it's so prevalent in your family, there must be a
Yeah.
real panic there as well with your sister.
Yes.
But it's so hard, isn't it? Because the society and the people that are selling them all this stuff, it's like that is the thing to get, and it's so hard to
Yeah.
find that balance of actually this is what's actually better for you. And
Yeah.
obviously this talk, like you say, is toxins all around us. Like if somebody, so like if I was to speak to, for instance, my mum or dad, who are just like so generational, so in that tunnel vision, they're like, oh, but well, I just want to live my life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point in thinking about all this stuff? What would you say to somebody like that?
Oh, I would say it's really hard with like the older generation
Mm,
because they've got to an age where they've never really had to think about it.
mm,
And for a lot of my grandparents, it was they were the same until
mm,
I mean a lot of them passed away. But it was my nan. She's 83, and she doesn't
right.
use anything with toxins in. But actually, when you get your head around what you can buy, where you can buy it from, it's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for example, like my skincare. I don't need all those like five different
Yeah.
serums, loads of body washes. I think it's just like stripping it back to basics.
Yeah.
But for the older generation, like I think I would probably just say to them, I mean, for some of them it's too late. They're
Yeah.
they're not bothered. But I think it's just about being mindful of the younger generation and what you are, because the older generation, they're, what's the word? They're like setting the example, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think it's just about really like being more open-minded to
Hmm.
realizing that we're not living in the same world as what they were living in
Yeah.
like 50 years
100%.
ago. It's
Hmm.
changed now. And
Hmm.
if you think about years ago, we didn't have all of these, like we didn't have loads of young people having cancer, having different other conditions like autism, like endometriosis. You didn't really hear of that like 50
Yeah.
years ago. So for now it's such a big thing, but it hasn't been enough time for it to be like human evolution. That
Yeah.
has to be environment. It has to
Yeah.
be something that has come from something that we're doing that is creating that.
Hmm.
And one of like the main things that's kind of that's been different is obviously we have so many different products now.
Yeah.
We have so many different foods now, like the processed
Yeah.
foods. But we didn't have that in their generation.
Hmm. Yeah. Back then it was but like basics, wasn't it? If you think about,
Yeah.
I always think, see, if you go back to like the cavemen and women days, like they didn't have, well, they weren't, not a chance they had all this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and they survived, like they survived, and obviously it was a total different time. But yeah, it's scary when you think about if you were to go to a shop, whether that's skincare, whether that's food, whether that's whatever, and the array of different things that you can have, like are really for the one thing
Hmm.
apparently.
Yeah.
It's quite astounding, isn't it, when you see that? Like
Yeah. It
somebody's
is.
it's a money thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, people are making a fortune from people's
Yeah.
vulnerabilities.
Absolutely. And I'm actually in the process of setting my own clothing brand up. And the
Right?
lady that's helping me with my marketing, she comes from the beauty industry and she is actually creating her own product at the moment. She's creating like a skincare product. And she was the one that said to me, she said, you don't need a night cream. You don't need all these different serums. You don't need like that exfoliate. She said it's all a marketing thing because if
Yeah.
they can sell more products, of course they're going to. Like
Yeah.
everybody would, but it's yeah, you just don't need it. And I think
Yeah.
it's when I talk about toxins, a lot of people think, oh gosh, I can't use that, can't use this. You don't need them.
Yeah.
Just stick to like the simple things. I mean, who needs a body wash that smells like bubble gum? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Who
like
wants to smell of bubblegum anyway? It's
like the one
crazy.
that I use, it literally has like a couple of ingredients in. It doesn't really smell of anything, but like that's fine. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. You're clean.
Yeah. My daughter, she ran out of her face cream, and actually, I don't ever buy her the stuff. But if I don't buy her the stuff that she really wants, she'll go to my mum and she'll buy her it.
Yeah,
So she's no daft. But so I had like this little pot of like it was all essential oils, and that was what I was using. I'd bought it at this wee beautiful shop,
yeah.
and she had to use it because she'd ran out her face cream, and she was like, "This smells disgusting." Okay, it makes me smell, but it feels good in my skin to me. But she was like, "Oh my God," because it was just all beautiful essential oils, and it was like a kind of muddy color. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
like what you would think of it. But she was horrified. Again, like you say, it's like you are setting an example. So although like that teenage age is hard to kind of really conquer, if you like,
mhm,
they're still watching, they're still seeing, they're still listening, they're still, do you know what I mean? And for that, maybe the light bulb or the seed is going to plant, and then eventually they'll start to shift, like, and that's all you can hope for, isn't it? So
yes, yeah,
when speaking about toxins and on your skin, this is something that I can come up against. That's a personal thing as well. So obviously a lot of this world these days, like young girls are getting things like Botox, things like filler, things like all of this stuff, and it's very much a thing nowadays. Like you're probably more, it's more unusual for you not to have it than to have it.
yeah,
And because I'm such an advocate of like no toxins, I really like I don't obviously you can tell. Also, I think people would be like, "Are you okay?" If I didn't have my expression, but like I can see why people get it because of the youthful and da 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 da, but I'm also like I feel like I can't be an advocate for not putting toxins on your skin and then inject it into myself. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Either.
Yeah.
So, like, when you think about putting stuff on your skin and the toxins you're putting on your skin, like that is like you say, your skin absorbs it and all that sort of stuff. What is your stance on people, or just the general, the injecting things into your face and your body?
Yeah, of course. So Botox, it is a toxin. It
Mm.
is. And the toxin, what Botox does is it impacts the brain. So it can create this thing in the brain where it makes you a lot less kind of like what's the word? Um, Empathetic, things like
Mm.
that. Like it starts to kind of, in a way, like change brain chemicals and things like that. So for a lot of like my friends as well, they've had Botox from like such a young age, and I think it
Yeah,
is just getting younger and younger. Um, but all these clinics, like they're not going to say that.
yeah.
In terms of fillers, I mean, I used to have filler, and I haven't really come across that as much as a problem. I
Mhm.
mean, I guess I've only really looked at like one brand of fillers,
Yeah,
and they are very much kind of regulated. I don't think they are much now that we're out of the UK, out of the EU. So I
yeah,
think there are kind of different brands on the market. But in terms of Botox, absolutely, I would never have Botox. I wouldn't do fillers now that I'm in my profession, but I did years ago. And it is something that I regret doing. But
yeah,
it's the same as tattoos.
yeah,
Tattoos they're full of heavy metals. So it's one of those things. It's like I have tattoos because I got them years ago, and it is
yeah.
something that I regret, but it's you can't change the past.
Okay, undo it. Yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, a lot of these girls as well, they don't know what they're putting into their face. They don't
Mhm.
know if it's Botox. They don't know if it's like the type of filler that they're having. Like there's
Mhm.
so many people in the UK now that do fillers and
Yeah.
do Botox, and I guarantee nobody is ever really asked to actually see what
What
they're
it is?
being
What is the
injected
product?
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even looked at the ingredients
Which
because
is frightening, isn't it? It's
yeah,
frightening. And also,
it
it's,
is.
I suppose, a similar idea to the whole being in the birth control since you're 15 or whatever. Like, you have no idea what's happening in 20, 30 years' time when you've had all this stuff in your
Yeah,
face. You've no idea the repercussions of that. And I
yeah.
think this is what people don't think about. People think about like the right now, what's happening right now, like what do I want to feel or whatever right now, and they don't really think about what could this do? And that's why it's so important that you are doing your doing and we're having this conversation because it's bringing awareness to it, isn't it? It's bringing
Mhm.
awareness to the fact that actually all these things can have a really negative effect on, and I had no idea it had a negative effect on your brain. Like that is
Yeah,
fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating.
yeah. It's really bad. I mean, there's a lot of studies now where people have actually had like Botox poisoning, and it's really caused them to have like severe issues. And it's the same with even like when people get like their breasts done, like boob
Hmm.
jobs and things like that. Like you don't know what those implants are made of.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of people that have similar issues to them now that actually in the UK they've now had to get them taken out because
yeah,
they didn't realize at the time, but then all of their symptoms and all of their health conditions they started when they had that sort of thing done.
yeah.
But I think it's really sad because I'm very lucky. So I only ever used to have like my lips filled. Whereas nowadays, like people have everything done. They have like
Yeah.
their cheeks, their chin, like everything. And I'm very lucky because I have an auntie who does like non-surgical facelifts. So she uses her hands and she also uses it's called like an RF machine.
Hmm.
And that is an amazing substitute for Botox and
Oh,
things like that
okay.
because it really like stimulates the collagen. And obviously it's not instant, but
Hmm.
if you're using, because I use like a gua sha, I try to do it kind of every day, and you can actually you can kind of shape your face
Hmm.
and you can tighten your skin up yourself, but it's
Hmm.
obviously it's not a quick fix. Like it takes
No.
time, you have to
Hmm.
do it continuously. But it's amazing as well because we hold like so much fluid in our faces as well. So if you can just gua sha like every night, even if it's just for 5 minutes,
Hmm.
it does really start to make a difference.
Is that the wee brush? Is that what you're talking
Um,
about? No.
it's like a flat stone, and you
Oh,
kind
right,
of
okay.
just you just kind of you can do it in like all different areas. But it's really good for the skin as well. It's really good like if you have cellulite, things like that, it can really
Uh-huh.
help to kind of break that down. And it just feels so nice as well.
Yeah.
And I
I
know
like you
like quite
say.
a lot of my friends, they've had like a lot of like the jaw filler and things like that.
Yeah,
And they don't even need it. It's just they need to get rid of like the puffiness. But
yeah,
the filler doesn't do that. Like
yeah.
it
Just
looks
fills
great.
in.
Yeah, it looks great when you first get it done, but
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't look great after like a few months or obviously when you have to keep getting it topped up as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's like a little brush. I don't even know what it's called, but like a little face brush. And you just go
Yeah.
over like kind of these things. Do you know what I mean? But it's incredible how it does change. Like it does change the kind of shape. I don't know if it changes the shape of your face, but it definitely like reduces the puffiness. You can do it one side and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. It just lifts everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It
But like you
really
say, it's
does.
not a quick fix, and I think nowadays everybody wants everything yesterday, don't they? And it's like
Yeah.
they don't respect like actually when you just take a bit of time on things. It's the same when if you're doing a transformation, like everybody wants them like again the Manjaro or da 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 or whatever
Yeah.
because it's quick and it's happening straight away. You don't realize the repercussions of it. But also, you're also not learning. You're also not like
Mhm.
learning actually how to be quote unquote healthy. Like, do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like this the quick fix just to get it happening instead of like honoring the process of kind of the becoming, if you like.
Yeah, of course. And honestly, like when you go on that journey, you just become such a different person, like an upgraded version of yourself. And I think
100%.
it's really sad that people don't want to explore that.
Hmm.
And I think like I used to work with a lot of women that wanted to lose weight. And in the end, like I said, I don't want to do it anymore because
Mm.
even like I would work with some women that would have endometriosis and they wanted to lose weight. That was the one thing that they wanted to focus on. They obviously they did care about the endometriosis, but it was always like, oh, I haven't lost any weight this week. And I always said, look, we're not working on weight, we're working on your endometriosis, really nourishing the body, and the weight will naturally fall off.
Yeah,
But people don't want to wait. They want it
100%.
now.
Hmm.
But yeah, the weight loss drugs, they scare me. I think it's
Definitely.
way too early to see what's going to happen, but I think in 10 years we'll really see quite some scary things happening.
I mean, you're hearing stuff already about like certain things to do with people's bones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
again, you're injecting something into your system. And don't get me wrong, obviously, it's been around for a long time for like diabetes and stuff like that. But if you do not have diabetes and you have no need for that,
Yeah.
especially, I think, especially when it's people who like, there's an element of like, are you going to die really, really soon and you need to lose the weight quickly? That's one like
Definitely.
thing. That's one thing. But are you just a bit overweight and actually if you done the work and like you said, do the inner work and and the ripple effect of that is going to be incredible. But also, like you say, it's the who you become in the process, and that you're missing like the best part if you're not
Yeah.
actually doing that. Do you know what I mean? But it's frightening that the people who I know a lot of people who are on and not a lot of people, that's a lie, but I know quite a few people who are on Manjaro who have no need to be on Manjaro, maybe a stone, a couple of stone or whatever. And I remember having a conversation with somebody who was like very open about the fact that they were taking it. And said something like, I mean, I've only had a packet of crisps and a protein bar today, and I was just like,
I know.
oh my
I
God.
know.
I mean, like that, you're missing the whole point. Like,
Yeah.
do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's
Not
scary.
only are you injecting the toxins, but what you're putting in your gob is like just as bad. Like what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary. I actually went to the doctors a few months ago just to speak to them about like what their stance was, and the doctors, they even said to me that they are petrified
Mm.
because they said like they've had so many people coming in with issues since been taking that, and they said like it's not regulated at all. You don't know where you're buying it from. They don't need to do like checkups, really, things like that. They say that they do,
Mhm.
but more or less anybody can get it.
Yeah.
And it's the same as me. I know some people that aren't overweight at all and they're on it. And I think some of the people are actually really clever people that I thought just never would. And it
Mhm.
really, really shocks me.
Mhm.
I was working with somebody a few months ago who they come to me and they said like I've lost all this weight being on Monjaro, can't lose any more. Can we have a look and see what else I could do? So I said, first thing, really, like I if you work with me, I would like you to kind of come off that. Because she was having an apple, a toasted tea cake, and a cereal bar. That was the only food that she was having every single day, and that had been for months. And I said, like, there's actually not anything else that I can do with you
Yeah.
because you won't eat more. And she said, I
Mhm.
physically can't eat more because I feel so sick. And I just said, like, I can't work with you until you do come off that. But
Mhm.
you will need to go like speak to a doctor about that.
Yeah.
Just because I thought I'm not gonna send her to do anything because she hasn't got enough food in her.
Yeah.
I don't
100%.
even know how they're functioning at this
Well, this
point.
is it, because your body ends up just going like, right, okay, we don't need to do that, we don't need to do that, we don't need that, and just shuts down, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Or shuts down the things that aren't like a necessity to keep you
yeah,
alive. And I think this is what people don't realize, like the hugeness of that, like the losing the hair, the bags under the eyes, the potentially losing your period, all these different things.
yeah,
These are things that will just stop because your body's like, right, I need to survive. What do I need to keep going? I need to keep my heart going. I need to keep, do you know what I mean? Like, and I
mhm,
think people just don't think about the repercussions. They're just too busy thinking about like you say the what they look like and how they feel in that if they were to look a certain way. I find it's very similar. Obviously a lot of my coaching is more it's mindset, it's embodiment. Like you say, the best thing to do is work on yourself. The ripple effect of that
mhm,
then will be you will lose weight, you will because you're working on your nervous system, you're calming everything down and all that sort of stuff. But when I put up a transformation photo, it's like "Da-da-da-da-da-da-da," and I'm like, and it's my personal one, not anybody else. Like it's a
yeah,
personal one, but that is a thing that people are like, oh my god. And my friend was saying you need to use that, and I'm like, but I can't use it because it's not what it is. Like it's
yeah,
not what it
yeah,
is, and that but people want that outcome. That is the outcome that they're like da 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 da, and I'm
yeah.
like, but that is not it. That is not. That's like a tiny, tiny, tiny part of the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just the person you become is just incredible when you
Yeah.
do the work. And I think like for me, what I do is so rewarding, but especially for you as well, because
Mhm.
it's the seeing somebody start from here, seeing them finish that journey, and they are like a whole upgraded person version of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is really sad. It's really sad that people do just want that quick fix.
Yeah.
And people are really, I think, what's the word? People are really quite, I don't know, they're quite mean about it as well.
Mm.
I'm in like a lot of different kind of like health groups and things like that. And people will ask me like what I think about certain things. And obviously I will always say, I'm not, yeah, I'm not for it at all. I think it's
Mhm.
terrible. And yeah, like the hate that I get from that.
Mm. I can
And I
imagine.
think, wow, just yeah, it's crazy.
But
It's
that's
crazy.
projecting though, isn't it? Like when people are hating on you, it's just projecting because I genuinely think, and again, this is me going down the pure deep route, but I think when people are so desperately wanting that thing, it all comes back to a lack of
Mhm.
self-love, a lack of self-worth, a lack of, and if you are, if anybody is attacking that, even though you're not attacking it. But if anybody is seemingly attacking that, it's like vroom, into
Yeah,
like the kind of the claws come out because they can't actually cope with that mirror being kind of
yeah,
turned on them. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a massive part of what all that sort of stuff.
Definitely. And it does it. I mean, it impacts obviously gut health massively, and that has
Mhm.
a huge impact on the brain. So these women that are on it, like I've spoke to so many women that have said they were really depressed when they're on it. And they come
Mhm.
off it because they were having suicidal thoughts. And they said, I had never felt like that before. And
Mhm.
that it's just altering the brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think it's such an amazing journey when you do the work on yourself. And I think
Yeah.
it's one of the best things that I've ever done.
Mhm.
I mean, weight loss has never been something that I've ever needed to achieve, but
Mhm.
just the journey that I've had within myself, I've come out such a better person for it,
Yeah.
um,
100%.
and such a more calm person. And yeah, I think you can just do so much more as well, can't you?
Definitely, definitely. So you spoke a little bit there about gut health, and I think this is another thing that people do not even, it doesn't even enter into their head about the gut and about how important the gut is to your health. So do you want to give us a little explanation or something about to do with the gut and why it is so important and so important and what is it about? Like what can we do with our gut to make ourselves feel healthier?
Yeah, of course. So with our gut, we have trillions of bacteria in there. So we either have good bacteria and bad bacteria. Now, we're never going to be able to get rid of all the bad bacteria, and we do need some of that bad bacteria to fight off certain viruses and things like that. But it's about having that balance of good and bad, and hopefully having more good bacteria than bad. And when people think about the gut, they just think about the stomach, but the gut can go from literally the point of where you put anything in your mouth down to when you go to the toilet and
Yeah.
you go for a poo. And it's it's that pretty much like that whole journey. And within the gut, 70% of our immune system will be housed within that gut. So it's a massive part of what I do with my clients because if we need a really healthy and functioning immune system to be able to fight off abnormal, well, to be able to wipe out abnormal cells that can turn into cancer.
Yeah.
But the gut, it's not even just about like cancer and the immune system, it's everything. So our gut is in constant conversation with our brain. There's about 80% of communication can come from the gut. So if you have a lot of bad bacteria in the gut from things like processed foods, um, alcohol, even toxins, then all of that bad bacteria is relaying communication to the brain. And that
Mhm.
can be one of the main causes for anxiety,
Mhm.
depression, and yeah, like really severe mental health. You see a lot of bad strains of bacteria in the gut.
Mhm.
And a lot of people will say to me, like, oh, what's a prebiotic that I can take? And I
Yeah.
will always say to all of my clients, like, we're not working on supplements, we're doing the work first. And
Yeah.
once you've done this journey, then maybe you can look at supplements. But that
Mhm.
is not what I do. Because
Mhm.
you can't out supplement a bad diet and a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You've really got to do that work.
100%. I think that's so important to say that is like I think people what even like on these pages on like Facebook or whatever, and it's like what supplement can I take for fatigue, da 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 da. But you're stressed that you're not, you're no getting any sleep, you
Mhm.
don't drink any water. Like do you know what I mean, like you're like fuck
Yeah, yeah.
sorry. Like just get the basics right. So if I was somebody coming to you and like I was like, oh, I want this supplement for whatever, what would be your like this is actually what you need to do instead?
So I would say like first start with the diet. It's
Mm,
more or less like that is what we can control.
mm,
So diet, focus on really as many vegetables as you can. You know what, just take out those processed foods, take out any food that you haven't basically prepared yourself.
yeah.
And it doesn't mean that like you can't eat that sort of stuff, but just if you're eating it every day, then you have to realize that that is going to have a repercussion.
Mhm.
So the first place I always start with a client is always breakfast because
Mhm.
when we've been asleep, our body has kind of cleared everything out. So anything that you eat first thing in the morning is the first thing that's absorbed, and it's absorbed so quickly. So if
Mhm.
you can start your morning with kind of like the most nutritious meal, then that is going to set you up not just it's not just going to set your gut up amazing, but it's going to set you up for the rest of the day.
Hmm.
Because when I work with clients, we first look at their breakfast, and I think in the UK we've been programmed to think that having really sugary things is normal for breakfast,
Yeah.
but it's not at all. And sometimes it's the things that you actually don't realize are sugary, are
Hmm.
really, really sugary.
Hmm.
So that's always the first place I would start. But then it's looking at sleep. Okay,
Hmm.
are you getting like 7 to 9 hours? Um, are you like stressed? Can you actually getting to bed at night and just fall asleep? Or are you laying there and like is your mind constantly on? Is things like toxins.
Hmm.
They're a huge one to the gut because the gut can, if you're eating like a high processed food diet or like high sugar diet, you can get leaky gut, which is essentially when the gut will have holes in. Now, this is actually one of the reasons why we see a lot of people getting sepsis nowadays, because we have certain pathogens in our gut, which then can come out of the gut and go into the bloodstream, and vice
Right.
versa. Toxins can be absorbed from the skin if you're putting them on
Hmm.
your skin, and they can go into the gut as well. Because
Hmm.
I would say the majority of people in the UK, we do have a bit of leaky gut, but obviously
Yeah.
some people's are a lot worse than others.
Hmm. And so what you're talking about ultra processed food there, because obviously a lot of people again will be like, what?
Mhm.
Because obviously I think it's tricky when you're having a conversation with somebody who gets it, but like you have to recognize that there's so many people that don't get it. So
Yeah.
when you're talking about ultra processed foods, what are we talking about?
So anything that you haven't prepared yourself, basically, that's a simple way of putting it. Like I always feel like I sometimes forget that those kind of
Hmm.
foods exist because
Yeah.
I've just always cooked stuff myself. But if you think anything from like ready meals, even like white bread that can be like ultra processed, is anything that hasn't come from like its natural form,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
So all of like ultra processed foods, they have so many different ingredients in, and it isn't just ingredients, it's also toxins like preservatives, things like that. Like your loaf of bread should not stay fresh for 2 weeks, but they
Yeah,
do
yeah,
now. They
yeah.
really do. And yeah, the simple way of thinking about it is if you haven't prepared that yourself, then
Hmm.
it's ultra processed.
And do you come up against like when you people come to you like the I don't have time, I did it like because obviously life is busy now. I think
Mhm.
people are like it's a rat race, isn't it? They're just constantly in this kind of rat race of life. What would you say to somebody who's like, I just don't have time to prepare my own food?
Meal prep, meal
Yeah.
prep, meal prep all the way.
Hmm.
Like you cannot tell me that you don't have time, because the majority of people that say that, they are watching Netflix at night or they're
Yeah.
watching TV. I mean, I run two businesses. My
Hmm.
mum, she has two businesses, and she's also a mum of three. She
Hmm.
eats everything fresh. And
Hmm.
the one thing that you have to do is you have to meal prep.
Yeah.
So, for example, with me, and it's not to say that you need to cook every meal on like a Sunday night, not at all. If
Yeah.
I cook my dinner at night, I'll just cook an extra couple of portions, just
Yeah.
add more chicken in, add more whatever you're making, and then that's my lunch for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's about just doing it just easily like that. And I think when people think about kind of meal prepping, they think, oh, I need to make so many like different meals, or I need to make some quite complex meals, but you really don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't eat like that because I don't actually enjoy cooking that much. I would
Yeah.
prefer to be doing something else. So the way that I eat is probably, some people would say it's quite boring, but
Mm.
it works for me. Like
Hmm.
for example, this morning I've just had 4 eggs, um, garlic, onions, olives, and then some little veg that I had left over from last night.
Yeah.
Now that literally took me 2 minutes to
Minutes.
make.
Yeah.
Put the eggs in the pan, scramble them, and it's pretty much done because everything
Hmm.
else is already cooked, already
Yeah.
chopped.
Yeah. I think it is like you say, it's a priority thing, isn't it? Like if it is your priority, it's happening. And
Mhm.
if you can't, then like that, there's so many meal prep companies out there. again, you need to do your research a wee bit because probably they're not maybe all um as
Yeah.
or as um, less processed as you want them to be.
Hmm.
But if somebody's cooking it, then you know it's going to be less processed than buying the
Yeah,
plastic tub that's in Tesco. Do you know what I mean?
definitely.
It's for sure. So it's amazing that you've had like that epiphany of when you were younger, everybody being unwell. I know obviously it's not been great that everybody's been
Mhm.
unwell, but that's obviously gave you the insight and the catalyst to actually change your thought process and how you're actually doing things. Because obviously, I would imagine back then, Chloe was a very different version to who Chloe is now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Back then, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
Hmm.
And I would probably say even like 7 years ago, I was, what would I say? I just felt a little bit depressed, to be honest,
Yeah.
because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I think I've grown up with like my parents always knowing what they wanted to do with their life. And
Hmm.
when I got to a certain age and I just had absolutely no idea. Like I did have a beauty business, but I didn't enjoy it. And it wasn't until like my nan, she overcome her cancer naturally, that was the first time that I was like, wow. And
Yeah.
since then, I've been a completely different person because I'm so driven.
Hmm.
And this is a lot what I say to my clients. Like a lot of them will say, I say like, what's your purpose in life? A lot of them will say, my kids or like my family. That isn't, for me, that's not a purpose.
Hmm.
I think your purpose, it can be something completely different, but I think every single person, whether you're a parent, like you still need a purpose and something that you want to do yourself.
100%. Yeah.
Something that lights you up. Like I've just recently worked with a lady and she loves Reiki. She's a Reiki master, right?
Love that.
Now, she'd had her children and she just completely kind of like lost that.
Hmm.
And I said to her, like, what's your purpose? And she said, oh, just like looking after my kids. And I was like, no, there's something else. There is something else. And she said, like, I used to be a Reiki master. I loved it. But I haven't done it in a while. So I said, right, okay, I'm gonna be your first client. You're gonna do Reiki on me.
Brilliant.
And then after that,
That was it.
you're gonna carry on doing it because
Hmm.
oh my gosh. And she did this Reiki on me. And I've worked with her for a couple of months and it was like watching a completely different person.
Yeah.
She was so excited. She was talking to me about everything. And I said to her, like, this is your purpose. I
Hmm.
said,
Hmm.
look at the difference from even just like the hour before you were doing this to now. She
Yeah.
was so excited. And I
Yeah.
think that's where I've really kind of changed like who I've become because now I know what I'm doing, and
Yeah.
as long as I'm along that path, it doesn't matter how long it's going to take me. But
Yeah.
you just have that drive,
Yeah.
and I guess that's probably what you see with a lot of your clients as well.
Yeah. It's that North Star, isn't it? It's having that
Mhm.
thing. And I think like you say, when you've got kids, of course they take over a lot of like your life. But having been a mum and now my two kids are a wee bit older, I mean, I'm never going to not be a mum, but like
Yeah,
they're older, your identity massively shifts like as they get older because they don't need you anymore. And then
yeah,
there's that like, oh my goodness, like do you know what I mean? Like, then you become that person that is like, what what do I do now? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Sort of thing.
yeah,
And I think, like you say, it's so important to have that. And I've always had like the other things that I do for me, like, but there is so many women who they just that stops the minute they have kids, and then when they become 14 and 17 or whatever ages where they just like, no, see you later, mum. Like, then you are like up against, or I would imagine you must be up against this huge like what the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like because for 15 years your life has stopped like entirely. So I think like you say, it's so important to have that something like the what is it that's like that burning passion
Uh-huh.
inside you, like that lights up your soul because it massively changes your physiology, it massively changes your energy, and then you show up better for these people that you're saying are your purpose in the first place.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think as well, it kind of with me, like I do not care kind of about anything else. Like I am, this is what I'm doing, and
Mm,
like I'm not bothered. I'll have some family members which will say like, "Oh, did you see what so and so's
mm,
doing?" Blah, blah, blah. Just general kind of like gossiping. I just don't care. Like I don't
yeah,
care. Like I'm doing this. I'm doing this with my own life, and I just
yeah,
think it's such a nice place to be in.
yeah.
Um,
Content.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a
definitely.
beautiful way to be. And do you ever find yourself coming up against, because obviously there's an element of when you're a business owner, when you're somebody who goes against the grain, who's kind of shouts about something that other people are like, what are you talking about? Do you find that you're up against like a battle, even with your own family members? Do you ever find that there's a bit of a battle there because you are doing things a bit different?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely. And I think for me, probably the biggest thing that I've dealt with is I'm very like different to my family members.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that's really come from like when my uncle passed away, he wrote like everybody these letters, and he said in there like if you want to do something, do it now, because I
Mm.
mean he passed away when he was 33, so it's really young.
Wow.
And he said like just don't have any regrets. And
Hmm.
that's one thing that like when my granddad passed away, he had so many regrets and he
Yeah.
told us that. And for me, it's like, even if my journey is going to take me longer because I want
Hmm.
to do certain things along the way, I'm going to do them. I'm
Yeah.
going to do them. And for a lot of my family members, like for example, I've been traveling twice. And I remember when it was the second time that I'd said, yeah, I'm booked to go. And one of my family members was like, isn't that a lot of money to be wasting when you could be spending that on a house? And I
You're
was
like,
just like, time doesn't come back,
yeah.
money comes back.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest challenge of what I've
Hmm.
come up across. I think with like the whole toxins and things like that, healthy eating, my family get it because
Mm,
we've been through a lot.
of
So
course.
like my mum, she is amazing. She's like she takes everything on board. She probably finds me a bit annoying sometimes when I go to her house and I'm like chucking everything away, like
Yeah.
chucking her plastic containers away and
Yeah.
but yeah, she gets it. She gets it.
Yeah.
And majority of them do. But I think it's more kind of like the lifestyle thing that people don't
Yeah.
understand because
Yes.
they have always had jobs that they've wanted to do or they've always kind of worked. Yeah, work has kind of been their life and kids have kind of been their life.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, like at this moment, kids are not on the cards
Yeah.
for quite a while until I've like done everything that I want to
You
do.
want to do it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautiful. I think, like you say, it is tricky, isn't it, when people don't get it, especially if it is. I mean, I've said this in this podcast before, but I went to see Tony Robbins last year in September, right? Honestly,
amazing.
incredible, absolutely incredible. And it was always like I came across him like right at the beginning of 2020, done these online things probably every year. And then I just had a moment of like a fuck it moment. I was like, book it,
Yeah,
just doing it, and then paid it up over X amount of months or whatever. Anyway, so then it came to the time I was doing it. So it was in Germany. I didn't have any, typical me, didn't have any booking for any hotels, whatever. So then the only hotel I could find was a hostel, right? And I was
yeah,
like it's just going to be because obviously there was 15,000 extra people in this place. So there was like everything was all booked up. And if it wasn't booked up, it was like 2 grand a night. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I'm
yeah,
not doing that. So booked this hostel, went over to Germany, went by myself, like done the whole experience by myself, stayed in this hostel with 3 other girls who were like Swedish. I think they were all Swedish. One was German, I think. Actually, two of the girls ended up they were going to the thing as well. So then you
oh
end
I
up
love
getting,
that.
and do you know what? My mum was like texting me every like on the route like. Da, 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 this is a cult, like what, da, 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 and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, do you know what? If it's a cult, it's a cult I'd rather be in
Yeah,
because like
yeah,
it's like opening up your mind, it's opening up your possibilities, opening up opportunities. Do you know what I mean? And it's shaping the life. So like you say, like people are like, my goodness, it was like I think it was like maybe a grand and a half or something for the ticket, something along those lines. Um, but I would rather invest a grand and a half in me developing myself, being in these environments, being in these experiences. Like it was honestly unbelievable, unbelievable. I would do it
yeah,
again, 100%. But like that, I would. I prioritize that, I invest in it, and I'm seeing it as an investment, not an expense. Whereas other people don't get it. My mum was like on the phone, ready to phone the police to be like, "You're I'm like, where is she? What's happening? Like, do you know what I mean? Who is this guy?" Like, but it's funny how like that. I'm very much against the grain. I'm very much the golden sheep of the family because I refuse
Yeah,
to be the black sheep. But there's
yeah.
always one, isn't there? There's always one of us, and I think we are the people that are going to change the world. We are the people that are going to impact the world and actually in a really, really positive way. And it's actually good for you, like good for all these people who are like, no, actually, no, I don't want to stand for that. I don't believe in that.
Hmm.
I'm not taking that. I'll say what I want to say and be an advocate so as that other people can then see that, be inspired by that, and do the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Those, you know what, Tony Robbins, I would say, so I'm reading his book at the moment, and I would say this has probably been the time in my life that it's been, even though I've gone through like so many family members passing away, actually just in terms of like my adult life and like business life, this has been really tough because I'm
Mhm.
building a new business that is totally new to me, like with my
Yeah.
clothing brand. If I hadn't have been reading Tony Robbins' book, I think I would have had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But reading that every morning,
Shifts your perspective.
he he is just incredible, and it
Mhm.
teaches you like how to use your emotions, like just see the good in everything. And
Mhm.
I think if you can do that, it's so life changing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
but yeah, his seminars are something that is on my list to do. It's on
You
like my
have to.
bucket list.
You honestly have to. It's so incredible. It's fucking crazy. It's like crazy, but amazing crazy. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It's like a personal development concert. That's all I can describe it.
yeah.
Like the strobe lights and all that sort of stuff is mental, but and everybody like 15,000 people dancing and singing and
Oh,
all that. Like and see even being surrounded by that type of energy, like
yeah.
that just bleeds off into you. It's just incredible. It honestly is honestly incredible. And actually, one of my friends is wanting to go this year, and he's like, "Will you come with me? Will you come?" And I'm like, "Actually, I don't think I would ever want to go with anybody because I actually think it changes your experience because then you're it's like a wee safety net, and you're
Mhm.
a wee safety net. Whereas when I went myself, I was over there and I was over here and I was talking to more people and did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I love
And
that.
it's a total different experience. But although like you've had so much like mortality really, but like mortality has also given you a look into like for instance not having regrets, not like
Mhm.
living like a life of like mediocrity when you don't actually want to be there. And I
Yeah.
think there's so much power in that. It's like a taking the pain and turning it into a purpose, isn't it? It's like actually no, this I can use this for good, and it's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Absolutely. And I really think you have to because if I hadn't have done that, I'd still be living my life worrying
Yeah,
and living my life like being upset every day and just yeah, like wondering like why us? Because
yeah,
that's something that a lot of like my family members will say, like, why does it always happen to the good ones? Like why us? Why
yeah,
not, like the real bad people of the world? And I think if you keep yourself in that cycle,
mm,
you can manifest things. Like you can manifest
yeah,
illness. Like being surrounded by negative people is just as bad for the immune system as toxins or processed food is.
yeah,
And I think you need to just see, obviously you can't see the good in everything. Like obviously I would wish that they were still with me,
of
but
course.
you just have to turn it around and actually see if you can really do something to help.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and yeah, that's it's what I'm really trying to do. I mean, it's been difficult. Like in my local area, I've been trying to kind of contact like hospices and things like that. But I think because everything is very much like government ran, NHS
yeah.
ran, it's been really difficult to do that.
Mhm.
Because it's not that they don't believe in it, they're just not allowed to do
Yeah.
anything with it.
The red tape, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
So for
100%.
me, kind of like my goal and what I really wanted to do is I can't do it on that level.
Hmm.
But that's why I just thought, you know what, just do it by myself and
Absolutely. And you
yeah,
can't do it yet, but that's not to say it's not coming. Do you know what I mean? The more
yeah,
you shout about it and the more like you interact with more people and the more that message is put across, like it's on its way.
yeah.
Definitely on its way. Well, I've got a question that I always ask every guest, and it is if you could go back and tell your younger self, and you can go wherever you want, anything, what would it be?
Oh, if I could go back and tell my younger self. So being a little girl, I always thought I was going to be famous, right? But I remember being like 5 years old, and I think I used to walk around in like my mum's heels, handbags,
Yeah.
and I could not imagine what life would be like as I don't want to say like a normal person, but I mean like somebody that does just go to work, have a job that they don't like,
Hmm.
and things like that. And I think for years, as I was growing up, I I mean, like, I don't want to be famous now, but
Yes.
growing up, I think because I always knew that as like a little kid that I was going to do so much, as I
Yeah.
was growing up, I didn't know how I was going to do that. I was
Hmm.
thinking like I know that I'm going to do so much, but doing what?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until like a few years ago that I actually realized that this is why. And I would probably just say, if I was going to go back to my younger self, I'd just say, just go with it. Just let
Hmm.
life happen and really see where you are instead of growing up and really worrying about what you're going to do when you're
Yeah.
older, who you need to impress, like making your parents proud, making everybody around you proud. Just just live and just actually enjoy life because life is not guaranteed and you need to live every single day like it's your last.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
and
Me
I
too.
think we have to wait for things in life. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. And like you say, had it not been for like some of the experiences you've had, you maybe wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now. So like as
yeah,
much as they've been painful and they've been hard and they've been like you say, you would wish them back in a heartbeat. But had it not been for those experiences, you maybe wouldn't have went down this route, or your nan maybe wouldn't have went down this route that
mhm.
inspired you to go down it, and so on and so forth. Amazing. So, Chloe, where can people find you if they want to work with you? Also, we didn't even tap on like how do people work with you? Is it one to one? Is it like and is it health? Like obviously it's health and nutrition and all that sort of stuff. Give us a wee rundown of that.
Yeah, of course. So I work with everybody one to one at the moment. So I work either on like a 12-week program. So we do a 12-week where we test as well. We see what's going on inside the body.
Is
And then
it
we
blood
work,
tests? Is that blood
no,
tests?
hair tests.
Hair test. So that's the one
Yeah.
where you have to grow your hair out to a certain amount. Is that right?
So no, it's only you only need about that much.
Right.
So yeah, so it's not too much. But the reason actually why we don't test the blood is because we test for minerals and toxins.
Yeah.
Now, if you test the blood can pretty much change every day.
Yeah.
So obviously for a lot of us, we can't do a blood test every day.
Yeah.
And the blood will try and push kind of any toxins, or if you have too much of something, it will try and push it out because
Okay.
it's dangerous if there's things in the blood.
Hmm.
So that's actually why we test the hair. So we do like a mineral and toxicity test, and then from that test, we work out like a 12-week plan. And we go through everything from like diet, lifestyle, also making sure that the liver is functioning to really get rid of those toxins. Also, like any excess hormones, so any like excess estrogen and things like that.
Hmm.
We go through like lifestyle, so we do a bit of like nervous system, we look at your sleep, stress levels. So we really have this whole journey that it seems like quite a lot, but it fits so seamlessly into somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I've had people that have been on that journey and they've come out just a completely transformed person.
Yeah.
So that's a way that you can work with me. I do also offer the tests as like a one-off package as well. So we can do the testing and you can have your results back and like recommendations and things like that.
Wow.
As my clothing brand develops, I'll also be creating like an online program as well, which I'm really, really excited for. And it will be a way where I can reach more people
Yeah.
and kind of still have time to do everything.
Amazing, amazing. And like you say, as much as it sounds like a lot of things, I think this is where people sometimes go wrong, where they think it's just that one thing and that's it, we're fixed. And it actually is, it's like a jigsaw,
Mhm.
isn't it? It's like putting all the little pieces together. It's not just a one thing. And I think that is where people get lost, where they think, I just need to do that and that'll be me. I'll be happy like that. I'll be happy
Yeah,
when sort of a scenario. But actually, no, the nervous system isn't like your whole system isn't included in that, isn't it? And the testing, I remember there was a girl who I was going to send my hair away to get tested for, and like she'd said that you need to leave because I'm terribly grey, right? As much as I don't look it, right, but and I do dye my hair, which I know is a total toxin, but it's that or be grey. And I was leaving this little patch at the back of my head for ages, and then I can't remember why I ended up not getting it cut out. I can't remember because I like you need to leave it and then cut it out and send it. Whatever. I can't remember why I never. And I ended up just going over it. But I will definitely be in touch about that test because I think the more data you've got as well, the more you can actually work with. Like if you have no data, you
definitely.
can't work with it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you actually have it, it's like, all right, okay, this is what's going on in my system. Ah, okay, that well, what can I do now? Isn't it?
Definitely. And that's why I use it so much. Like I
Yeah,
won't really unless I do just like a one-to-one consultation, I won't really do anything unless we've tested because
yeah,
I want the results just as much as you do.
yeah,
So like I've had women that I've worked with and you do the consultation and you're like, okay, right, this could be going wrong, this could be needing like a bit of work. And unless you test,
yeah.
you
Guesswork.
just you're just guessing.
Yeah,
And like for example, a lot of women that I work with, they will have too much of certain minerals. So it's like, okay, for the next 3 months, we need you to decrease these foods and up these foods just to then balance them out. Because for a lot of us, we eat the same things more or less every day, so that
yeah,
does just build up. And if I didn't test them, I would probably be telling them to, okay, add more of that food in because it's good. When
yeah,
actually, when you look at their test results, it's like, okay, you've got way too much of that. So you actually
yeah,
need to lower that for a few months.
yeah.
And like, I've had women that have had like severe menopausal symptoms. And within like a few weeks, all of those symptoms have gone
Wow.
because we've just looked, okay, the body needs this, you've got too
Yeah,
much of this, these toxins are building up, right, let's
mhm,
change this. Because
yeah,
I mean, I'm the same. I went for years with having an issue where I could literally go for a wee every 5 minutes.
mhm.
And that was horrible because I'd go anywhere for the day and I'd be thinking like, gosh, like where's the
Where's the
toilet?
toilet? Yeah,
Um, I I spent thousands on having like private ultrasounds, loads of
hmm,
different bloods tests, because I thought because I've such a big family history of cancer, I thought, gosh, is there something growing on my bladder? Or
yeah, yeah,
I spent so much money on doing that. And then I actually the last thing that I tried was now the testing that I offer. And
hmm.
it come back that my calcium was so high. It was literally like
Mhm.
through the roof. And the easiest way for the body to get rid of that is to go for a pee. And I
Right.
was like, wow, I've been worrying myself for like years,
Yeah,
trying all this different stuff. And when it was just that my calcium was so high.
that's
So
crazy.
just by changing that within like a few weeks, I've just gone back to normal.
That's crazy. And this is it. It's like there is that your body is magic, isn't it? It's like it
Mhm.
knows what to do. It's
Yeah.
just sometimes we are logically doing the opposite of what your body actually needs, isn't it? And unless
Yeah.
you've got the data, you can't like that. It is just guesswork, isn't it? That's incredible, and it's incredible though. Like you like that. You're now using that as your knowledge because like you've went through this process, and then it's like no, actually now I know this works. Like I have
Mhm.
absolute facts. Like I have experience that it actually works. It's so, so powerful. And I think there's so many people that need it. There's so many people that need it. There's so many people living with chronic illness, living with
Mhm.
like the disease, either openly obvious in their body or actually not openly obvious. Like
Yeah,
sometimes it's just festering, isn't it?
yeah,
But so where
definitely.
can people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, so at Cloco Health, so that's Cloco Health. I'm also on LinkedIn or Facebook as Chloe Jane. And I do actually have a free Facebook group as well for cancer prevention. So in there, I host like a free training once a week, and the community is lovely. It's only a small community at the moment, but it's just yeah, it's a lovely little community, and you can go
As the
in
small
there, and
ones are
it's
better.
yeah, it's just tips where you can actually fit them into your life and really start them today.
Yeah,
Because with cancer prevention, it's not just one thing; it's the
yeah.
accumulation of everything.
Mhm.
And like I said, like we're never going to be perfect. No, nobody ever is. I'm
Yeah,
not perfect, and I'm in this job.
yeah.
And it's just about what you do every day. You just got to make sure that that's actually supporting your body.
Yeah. And like you say, you can't like completely have no toxins or no nothing ever in your life. Like it's
No.
not realistic. What would you say, again, this is me continuing more, but this will be the last question, I promise. What would you say if you could advise somebody to like how do they just start? What's the one thing if you could say one thing, what would be the thing that you would say to somebody after we're listening to this podcast?
In terms of toxins, do you
In
mean?
terms of anything,
In
just
terms
like
of
if they're
anything.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so obviously, like diet is a huge one.
yeah.
But I would just say look at the products that you're using every day on your
Hmm.
skin, even to clean your home, and make sure that if you wouldn't be happy to put them in your mouth, don't use
Hmm.
them every day.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. Hardy and fig are really good for cleaning your house because it's all essential oils.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
smells good. It
yeah, it
smells good as well.
does. It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Chloe. I honestly I think I could speak to you and pick your brain all day because it's just fascinating and it really is a conversation that could go on and on and on and on and on,
Yeah,
isn't it? Like there's so many layers to it, there's so many different points to it. But I know you have loads of information on your Instagram page. I'll tag your Instagram as well in the show notes as well. And if anybody wants to reach out to either me or Chloe, I'm sure Chloe's happy to for you to drop into our DMs,
yeah,
as am I.
absolutely.
But having the conversation about this stuff is just so so powerful. The more people we can touch and the more people Chloe can get our expertise to it, the better. And hopefully it makes the world a little bit more of a healthier and happier place. So thank you so much for listening, Chloe. Thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, any questions, drop them into our inboxes. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.